Hey, welcome back. You know that feeling when you're stuck in traffic or waiting in a line that just isn't moving, and you start mentally rearranging the universe? You think, that guy who cut me off? He should have to listen to elevator music for all eternity. The person who designed this queue? Straight to a special room of bureaucratic nightmare. We've all done it. It's a very human impulse to imagine a cosmic justice system that perfectly mirrors our own petty grievances and profound sense of right and wrong. Well, imagine having the literary genius, the sheer audacity, and the personal bitterness to actually write that system into existence, and to make it the cornerstone of Western literature for the next 700 years. That's exactly what Dante Alighieri did. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is The Great Conversation. Today, we're descending into the first part of his masterpiece, Episode 2, Dante's Inferno, a personal vendetta or divine comedy. Let's set the scene. It's the early 1300s. Dante, once a powerful political figure in the explosive city-state of Florence, is now in exile. He's lost his home, his status, his wealth. He's been condemned to death in absentia. And from his perspective, this catastrophe was orchestrated by a cabal of corrupt politicians and a meddling pope. He's angry, he's heartbroken, and he's got a lot of time on his hands. So what does a poet do? He writes, but he doesn't just write a rant. He constructs an epic, a journey through hell, purgatory, and paradise, guided first by the Roman poet Virgil, and later by his idealized love, Beatrice. And right there, in the very first act, the Inferno, we find our central question. Is this a profound theological exploration of sin and redemption, or is it the world's most elaborate, most brilliant revenge fanfiction? The architecture of Dante's hell is famously meticulous. It's not a vague pit of fire. It's a structured, descending funnel of 9 concentric circles, each punishing a specific category of sin with a punishment that poetically fits the crime. The lustful are forever blown about by a violent storm, mirroring the chaos of their passions. The gluttonous lie in a vile slush, a parody of the indulgence they craved. The violent are submerged in a river of boiling blood. There's a terrifying, divine logic to it all, a concept called contrapasso. The punishment mirrors, or counterbalances, the sin itself. This is serious theological stuff, rooted in Aristotelian ethics and Thomistic philosophy. Dante is building a moral universe, a map of divine justice. That's the divine comedy part. But then you start to look at the guests, and the guest list is very, very interesting. Yes, you have the classic villains, Judas Iscariot, Brutus, Cassius, stuck in the mouths of Satan himself in the ninth circle. But you also have people whose sins seem curiously specific to Florentine politics circa 1302. Dante's hell is populated with his personal enemies. The man who opposed him politically, Filippo Argini, is in the 5th circle, wallowing in the Styx, the river of wrath, and Dante doesn't just see him there. He gets into a shouting match with him and is thrilled when Argini is torn apart by other souls. Pope Boniface VIII, whom Dante blamed for his exile, isn't dead yet when the poem is set, but Dante prophetically has a place reserved for him in the 8th circle, head first in a hole, his feet eternally on fire, for the sin of simony, selling church offices. It's a stunning act of literary pre-booking. And this is where the genius becomes personal, and the personal becomes genius. Dante isn't just throwing people in hell. He's putting them in very specific, creatively humiliating positions. He's having conversations with them. He gets to have the last word. In his fictional universe, he is the righteous pilgrim, witnessing their well-deserved fate, often with a chilling lack of pity. It's the ultimate power move from a man stripped of all power. From exile, with nothing but a pen and his imagination, he gets to judge the people who judged him. He gets to immortalize them, not as the victors of history, but as sinners in his divinely ordained narrative. That's the personal vendetta part. But to call it just a vendetta is to miss the point entirely. The true magic of the Inferno is the fusion of these two drives, the cosmic and the personal. Dante's bitterness isn't a flaw in the poem, it's the engine. His personal loss gives the theological framework its raw, human urgency. We feel the heat of the flames because we feel the heat of his anger. His specific, petty grievances force him to grapple with universal questions. What is justice? Who deserves mercy? Where is the line between righteous anger and sinful wrath? When he places his own philosophical mentor, Brunetto Latini, in the circle of the sodomites, the encounter is filled with tenderness and devastating sorrow. It's not a simple condemnation. It's a complex, heartbreaking portrait of love and loss, of respecting the man while condemning the sin. The personal conflict is the theological exploration. As an engineer and a storyteller, I'm fascinated by this structure. Dante built a system. He defined the inputs, human actions, categorized by sin. He designed the algorithm, contrapasso, the law of symbolic retribution. And he generated the output, a perfectly ordered, horrifying afterlife. But he then populated this flawless system with the messy, biased data points of his own life. The system's authority makes his personal judgments feel cosmic, and his personal investment makes the cosmic system feel urgently, painfully real. It's a feedback loop of genius. So, is it a vendetta or a comedy? The answer, I think, is that it's a vendetta transformed into a comedy. In the medieval sense, a comedy isn't something funny. It's a story that begins in turmoil and ends in harmony. Dante's poem starts with him lost in a dark wood, his personal and spiritual crisis, and ends with him gazing upon the love that moves the sun and the other stars. The Inferno is just the first, necessary stage of that journey. He has to confront the worst, to name his demons, both literal and metaphorical, and to work through his own rage and despair before he can ascend. The pettiness is a starting point, not the destination. He uses the very human, very relatable fuel of bitterness to launch a voyage into the divine. That's the takeaway for me. Great works aren't created from a place of detached, pure objectivity. They are forged in the fires of personal experience, love, loss, exile, anger. Dante didn't write about hell because he was a dispassionate theologian. He wrote about it because he felt like he was living in one. And by channeling that feeling into a structured, ambitious vision, he gave us all a language for our own struggles, our own judgments, and our own hope for a journey that leads out of the dark wood. Thank you for joining me for this descent into the Inferno. If this conversation sparked something for you, I'd be so grateful if you'd share the episode with a friend who loves history, literature, or just a great story about creative revenge. You can find more episodes and transcripts at our production studio's website, Light Not Studios. https://www.lightnotstudios.com. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi. Until next time, keep listening and keep the conversation going.